To make amends, the king offered the twins a grand reward of gold and riches befitting their glorious accomplishment. However, Kofi simply said,
"We fought for the honor of your daughter's hand, not any riches. If the princess sees us as unworthy, we must humbly accept her decision with dignity."
Once upon a time, in the ancient kingdom of Okachi, there lived a powerful king named Adewale, who ruled with an iron fist. He was feared by his subjects for his quick temper and merciless punishments for even the smallest mistakes. King Adewale had an only child, a daughter named Princess Lola, whom he loved more than life itself. Being an only child and doted on by her father, Lola grew up spoiled, selfish and cruel. She looked down upon the villagers, treating them as lowly peasants only fit to serve her. Any servant who displeased her faced harsh whippings on the orders of the king. As Lola blossomed into a beautiful young woman, King Adewale decided it was time for her to marry. He summoned the bravest warriors and most affluent princes from neighboring kingdoms to vie for his daughter's hand. Prince after prince was rejected by the naughty and arrogant Lola, who felt none were worthy of her. One day, a set of twins from a modest family in a remote village arrived at the palace gates. Kofi and Kwame were both strapping young men, fearless hunters known for their bravery in slaying fierce lions and deadly serpents that terrorized nearby villages. Despite their humble backgrounds, they were determined to try their luck at winning Princess Lola's hand. When Lola laid eyes upon the twins presenting themselves as suitors, she let out a mocking laugh. "You filthy peasants dare aspire to marry a princess. How vile and delusional you both are." Sneering, she ordered her guards to whip them and chase them out of the kingdom. But the brave Kofi spoke up firmly.
"We may be simple hunters, Your Highness. But our hearts are pure and our skills are unmatched. Do not judge us so quickly based on our status at birth."
His brother Kwame added,
"Indeed, we seek only the chance to prove ourselves worthy of your hand through noble deeds."
The king was impressed by the bold twins who showed no fear in the face of his terrifying daughter. He decided to put them to a test, setting them a seemingly impossible task of slaying the legendary swamp demon that dwelled in the forbidden marshlands. Many had tried and perished horribly in the deadly swamps. If Kofi and Kwame succeeded, one of them would be allowed to marry Lola. The twins set off into the deadly marshlands, armed with just spears and their wits. They trekked for days, wading through knee-deep muddy waters, fending off venomous snakes and hungry crocodiles. Just as they were about to succumb to exhaustion, they saw a hideous, scaly creature heaving its massive form out of the swamp waters. It's the dreaded swamp demon. It opened its gigantic jaws, exhaling a foul, sickening stench that burned their nostrils. The twins stood their ground, waiting for the right moment to strike as the creature reared, preparing to attack. Kwame hurled his spear with all his might, piercing one of the demon's eyes. It let out an anguished roar, momentarily distracted. Kofi seized that split second to drive his spear straight into the demon's gaping jaws, piercing down its throat. Greenish-black blood spewed forth as the dying demon thrashed about violently. The twins kept driving their spears into its body until its movement stilled, and they had finally slain the legendary beast. Kofi and Kwame used vines to drag the demon's colossal body out of the swamplands. They marched back to the palace, putting the grotesque trophy on display as proof of their victory, to the shock and amazement of all present. All except the sneering Princess Lola, who had fully expected the twins to perish. Enraged that these peasant hunters had succeeded where so many others failed, she publicly dismissed their incredible feat and said, "So you got lucky and slayed a dumb beast, I'm not impressed. I still refuse to marry filthy animal hunters like yourselves." King Adewale was furious at his daughter's insolence and ingratitude after the brave twins had risked their very lives for her hand. But before he could rebuke her, Lola had stormed off, throwing a tantrum like a small child. To make amends, the king offered the twins a grand reward of gold and riches befitting their glorious accomplishment. However, Kofi simply said,
We fought for the honor of your daughter's hand, not any riches. If the princess sees us as unworthy, we must humbly accept her decision with dignity."
The brothers gracefully declined the king's treasures and returned to their village, heads held high. From that day forth, Princess Lola's cruelty and arrogance only worsened. She became unbearable, taking out her anger and frustration on the palace servants with harsh punishments over the smallest mistakes like spilling wine or crinkling her dresses. One day, while having her bath attended to by her ladies-in-waiting, two trusted servant girls named Aisha and Halima accidentally saw the princess's body exposed. In a fit of rage, Lola screamed, "How dare you unbathe, filthy peasants look upon my flawless royal body." She ordered guards to forcibly remove their clothing and whip them mercilessly until their backs were bloodied pulps. The severe punishments against Aisha and Halima caused an uproar of outrage in the kingdom. Angry villagers gathered before the onlookers and his own subjects. Adewale solemnly reprimanded and disowned his daughter for her vile actions, abusing and dehumanizing her own people.
"From this day forth, you are stripped of your royal titles and privileges. You are banned from this kingdom.
Forced to wander and live the life of a destitute, scorned by all until you have learned humility and the error of your cruel ways." Adewale then ordered guards to rip off Lola's accessories, leaving her to look like a commoner. Lola was utterly horrified. This was a harsh punishment she had never expected even with all her misdeeds. She fell to her knees, weeping bitterly and begging for her father's forgiveness, promising to change her ways. But Adewale's mind was made up that he would not tolerate her wickedness any longer. The disgraced princess was forcefully dragged away to the desert at the kingdom's borders and abandoned there to fend for herself under the scorching sun. All that could be heard was Lola's desperate, pitiful wails as she watched her former life of luxury and power disappearing in the distance. Several days later, the fallen princess wandered the brutal desert alone, struggling to find food and water. Her shiny skin was burnt raw by the relentless sun, her feet were cut and blistered from walking across the hot suns. She was forced to drink from stagnant, unsanitary waters which made her violently ill. Gone were her grand palaces, gourmet meals served on silver, and silk-lined beds. When she thought might be her final day, starving and dehydrated, Lola collapsed near a small oasis, expecting death to finally take her. It was then that two unlikely saviors found her, Kofi and Kwame, the brave twins she had disparaged and mocked so heartlessly months ago. The hunters were on their way to a neighboring village when they saw Lola's withered body in the sand. Despite her cruel treatment of them, they could not find it in their hearts to let a human being die in such a ghastly way. They gently lifted her up and brought her to recover in their modest hut back in their village and gave her water and food. When Lola regained consciousness days later, she could scarcely believe which kind souls had saved her life. She expected to be in heaven, not in the simple dwellings of the peasant twins whom she had so arrogantly rejected before. She broke down in heavy sobs, her pride finally shattered. "I do not deserve your kindness and compassion," she told the twins. "I was a selfish, evil princess who oppressed her own people and looked down upon the poor as less than human. I got the punishment I rightly deserved from my own father." She stayed with the twins in their modest hut as she has nowhere to go. She decided to work on herself and be a better person. She helped the twin with cooking, cleaning and other house chores. She helps the elderly with their market bags and tell the children stories. Everyone in the neighborhood loves Princess for her kindness and generosity. Kofi, seeing this, loved the princess more and would always look at her at any given opportunity. Several months later, word spread that Princess Lola had returned to the kingdom of Okachi along with the twin. King Adewale was overjoyed to see his daughter again and embraced her tightly, and his previous harsh sentence forgotten. When Lola arrived in the village, the people were shocked to see the princess they once scorned now accompanied by the humble twins she had cruelly rejected years before. She tearfully hugged her family, having missed them dearly, and sincerely apologized to Aisha and Halima for her past mistreatment of them. Kofi's profound love and Lola's transformation into a woman of substance and compassion made them an inseparable pair. They were married in a joyous ceremony, finally united in a love that transcended outward appearances. Kofi and the redeemed Princess Lola lived happily ever after as rulers who prioritized kindness, humility, and grace above all.
I hope you enjoyed the story. If so, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell for more stories like this one. Goodbye.